Okay, we can probably get started.
Okay, I'll start. All right, good morning, everyone. I'll start with the acknowledgement. We would like to acknowledge that we are privileged to meet on the unceded and ancestral territories of the Squamish and St'át'imc Nations. We have an agenda recommendation.
That the agenda of this meeting be approved.
Thank you, Melissa. And a second. Thank you, Celeste. All in favor? And that's carried. Okay, we have a minutes recommendation.
The minutes of the policy committee meeting held on May 13th, 2026 be adopted.
Thank you, Melissa. And a second. Thank you, Celeste. All in favor? And that's carried. Okay, information items, the policy review schedule. Okay, so,
Or trustee
item.
item.
Oh, sorry,
Is
I
that
jumped
okay?
right over.
Yeah, I didn't give you a heads up, so I'm so sorry. Just
No,
two
no,
really,
my fault. I should have said that.
really quick items.
Go ahead.
Thank you so much.
Go ahead.
So I just wanted to, I've been meaning to ask this, and I thought I'd just ask it here just as an item for a future meeting. I'm curious about how often the administrative procedures are updated. And if it would be possible, like if it's not too burdensome for us to just receive an FYI that an admin procedure has been reviewed and updated, or new ones have been created. It'll give us a better look into your work and an understanding of all of the things that have to go on behind the scenes. And I think just as a flag for all of us to be familiar with the admin's procedures, just like we review the policies on a regular schedule. So just as an item for future, if we could maybe talk about that, that would be so great. I'm curious and interested in that. And I had one more thing. Also, again, for a future meeting, if possible, could I please request a discussion about our IT policy and any associated admin procedures in the fall, probably in relation to the updated federal legislation on the Safe School Media Act? I'm just curious about access controls that we have in schools, given that our students have access to district provided devices, and just what the standards are in terms of protection for students in our school. So those are just my requests for future meetings.
I think you are going, like April, when we go over the policy review schedule, we're going to talk a little bit more about procedures.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And then the IT policy thing, we'll have to take a look into that. Yeah. The IT policy, we'll have to take a look into that.
Yeah.
About
September.
I just have to.
I think we'll have to discuss it at agenda setting, and the legislation, I
Allegedly.
understand it hasn't been
No,
put
it's only
forth
paper.
yet, so we'll be able to respond and
Yeah.
provide some good information, I hope.
And just to be clear, I'm not asking for a review, like to change the policy, just a discussion first. Sure.
Okay, moving on to, unless there's any other trustee comments. No, all good? All right. Policy review schedule. So as you likely know, and I think I brought it up at the last meeting, BCSTA has initiated, although they were very clear to let us know during the chairperson's meeting that they're just an advisory committee. They are not even requesting that we do these things, but they have initiated a policy review schedule across British Columbia. Now, a lot of different locals are in a different place. All the locals are in a different place than we are as far as our policy review. And we have, I think we have one of the few districts in British Columbia that does review our policies on a 5-year rotation, or even on a rotation at all. So when I was on the meeting with all the other chairs, there was a lot of talk about this because people are really diving into it and really working hard, especially to do those 3 big ones that we talked about at the last meeting. I can't even remember what they were, but one of them was the secretary treasurer, the role of the secretary treasurer and the superintendent. So that one was the 3 of them. I can't remember what the other 2 are at the moment. have been reviewed a lot across. So anyways, at that meeting, I sort of was wondering if we could move to a 4-year rotation so that it matches with our electoral. But we had a lot of conversation about that, and we probably should have some conversation about that. But at that meeting, we still are sitting with,
Over 50,
how many policies?
over 50.
Over 50 policies. And some districts, I'm thinking Burnaby is one that comes to mind, have come down under 20. So I'm wondering if we want to form an ad hoc committee to review the number of current policies that we have and maybe try to reduce our number a bit. Because the more we reduce our number, I mean, it's the easy, it just makes it streamlined for us. It also takes the workload off of staff. So we were thinking about an ad hoc committee to just start that work, to just go through the policies and see if we can make some. Go ahead, Sloan.
My only comment, we've discussed this
Mhm.
in the past, when administrative procedures were sort of brought in, I want to say 7 years ago or something like that.
Mm.
Would have been probably before Daniel's time. My only concern would be policy is one of the few things we've got.
Right.
At the board level, and in all of the policies that we've reviewed, I don't know that I could say that there's anything that I don't think we should be looking at regularly and having a hand in as the board, because if we pass everything off to staff, there's the oversight piece of the administrator, there's the financial oversight, but policy is a big part of our portfolio, and it's where it gives the public some level of control, like this is for the public level of control over the system. So whittling down what the board is looking at and approving, I think, is a dangerous game that we should approach carefully. And I think that it is an important question, like the question of,
Mhm.
do we have too many is a good question. But to develop a committee for the purpose of reducing the number of policies, it might be premature. It might be good for us to carry that question in our mind when we're reviewing, let's say over the next, the election's coming up, so this is so hard, but let's say over 3 months, and look at all of those policies with a critical lens. Could any of these rightfully not sit with the board? And if the answer is no, then it's less likely that we can really whittle them down. But it's a good question. I just would approach it with a lot of caution.
Any other comments? Melissa, did you?
No, I'm just thinking, I think I agree with Celeste that if we all just take our time and look at them individually
Okay.
and think about it, because I have said multiple times that with this election coming up, if there was someone who was really passionate about policy and procedure, I would absolutely encourage them to run, because this is the most important part we do. One of the most important.
Okay. Oh, Lisa.
Yeah, hi guys. I too was going to echo Celeste, but I was also thinking if we wanted to, on one of those Wednesdays or for learning, the days we've put aside for learning or optional board meeting, we could get together as a board and just have a look at some, just to get us started and put our ideas together. So that maybe it is a little less work in September. Maybe we would have a couple of things that can come off, or a couple of things we think should be consolidated. But policy, it is one of the only things that we've got, and to ensure that things are running economically feasibly in constraints of budget, double checking through the act, like it's important. So I'm sure there's some that are obsolete and can be struck, but for the most part, I think it's work that we need to do and synthesize together.
Okay, thank you, Lisa. Rachel, do you have any thoughts?
No, I echo what Melissa said, that it's very important, and probably the most important thing we do. So appreciate the comments by her and Celeste, and I would be in agreement with what they have said as well as Lisa. So thank you.
Okay, so I think I've heard two things. I think I've heard Melissa say we look at these individually and then maybe form a committee to have a look. Or Lisa is suggesting that we look at these collectively, but not with the eye of eliminating them, but just with the eye of learning about where they are. And maybe there are some through that process that we find are either redundant or even maybe said in a different way, or that we could look at removing if we feel right. So are we wanting to move ahead with, like just a group ed session on it? Go ahead, Celeste.
One way to do it could be to, as we're reviewing the policies, have that question always in mind rather than adding meetings through a time where it's difficult to pull people together. Because I think she was suggesting doing it over the summer. I'm not opposed to meeting, but it is more challenging. And so having that question in mind as we are going through the existing review schedule is a way to do it that is also realistic, because policy review is like 3 or 4 on a given date is about my limit. Yeah, like to really critically assess them, that's about the limit.
My only thought, and I don't know, because I haven't sat and read all of them in one sitting, is there's some that repeat. And if we're doing it that way, we might forget, oh, we've dealt with one like this, 3 years ago. That would be my only concern, but maybe we aren't.
I think when we do the policy review, and Daniel, you can say, I think they're often lumped together in
Yes.
like policies. So we would catch repetitive.
I don't think there's anything that's really repetitive. I would just say that there's some policies that are more procedural, or it could be more operational and not necessarily should be at the board level. Like the staff should be able to handle that without your, I guess, oversight.
Well, that's the
So-
tension though, isn't it? Right? Like, of
Yeah.
course, staff want more
Yeah.
ability to do it without the board reviewing it, but that's the whole tension. That's the point.
It's governance versus operations, right? So the board's responsible for governance. And that's what it should be at.
Yeah.
So
Up here.
we have two options on the table, sounds. So, are we all right going with Celeste's motion idea of, as we go through it, always put that question out there? I see some nodding. Looks like it's okay with Lisa. Looks like it's okay with Melissa. Rachel, yes?
Yes, I'm
Okay.
good with that.
So that's how we will do it. We'll just always remember to put that question there as we review. Is this truly governance? And if it is, good. If it isn't, we will have the conversation at the time. Melissa,
April, you also brought up possibly moving to a 4-year rotation. Is that something you want to discuss now? Or
well, I did think about that further. And the thing about the 5-year one, if we did it in a 4-year, there's always a possibility that we could have an entirely new board at the very beginning. So maybe the fact that we're in a 5-year keeps us, kind of out of sync with the election, which maybe is a good thing. Go ahead, Celeste.
I think the number that we've been doing has been about right, and probably the workload for the prep as well on their end. It's probably about right. And I don't think that it's problematic that there's overlap between election cycles.
And we've also added a number of policies like every year. Like, yeah, there's quite a few that keep getting added. So,
Okay, so if there's no more
I
further
may?
comments,
If I may.
sorry.
It's all good. The only thing that I wanted to mention is that it wouldn't preclude staff from coming to us and saying, can you have a look at this one? It seems more operational than board driven. So I would suggest, Danielle, just know, in my opinion, that's always an option too. Like if you're scanning through, them all inside and out too. And if there's one more and we make it 4, if we make it 3, like that's always an option as well.
And thank you, Celeste, for pointing out about the extra workload on staff, because I forgot to say. Okay, if we're all okay, we can move on. To discussion items, policy 808, naming of schools and district facilities. Chris, please.
All right, thank you very much. My apologies to those online in the public. My camera is not working. It's showing that it's showing on my screen and then has a big X over where my face should be. So
Right.
hopefully the owl will pick me up a little bit. So speaking of new policies, we do have 3 new ones over the last couple of years. With the naming of school and district facilities, as the public and the board remembers, this is a policy that we recognize we didn't have in place or couldn't find an old version of. So I had provided an overview, which was basically an amalgamation of best practices that other districts have used to good effect. And then as per our policy, and any policy goes out for public consultation. So it went out for the 60-day period. And just for a little bit of feedback, what I will share is we had 266 visits to the page. Now that doesn't necessarily mean individual visits. When I went and looked to make sure it was on there, that counted as well. But of those visits, we had 39 people submit some feedback. When we do policy consultation, that is anonymous, so folks do not identify themselves. And what I will share is 26 of the 39 responses. I am going to editorialize a little bit because I don't know how I can't without explaining. We're quite negative and opposed. And we're basically based on an opposition to the Indigenous naming of schools. Yes, so there were a number of responses that I will just share. I don't believe are in keeping with our values as an organization or commitment to truth and reconciliation or the human rights legislation. So I'm going to leave that part at that and say that was disappointing to hear the amount of vitriol. In terms of other concerns, which I think were fair and written, were just around will there be follow-up procedures? And of course, yes, they will be. There've been procedures in terms of how this happens, in terms of how we do the consultation and the feedback from folks from any one school. And then in terms of broadly supportive, were 5, and those supportive comments were basically about this is what other districts are doing. It's the right thing to do. Thank you for doing the work, etc. And then 8 of them had some questions of clarification around, well, why not named after living people, or what is the if we do choose Indigenous names, can we also ensure pronunciation guides and things like that? So I didn't see those as negative, but I wouldn't see them as positive either. Just sort of neutral with some follow-up questions. So yeah, I mean, the feedback was polarized, and I think that's also not uncommon. If there's a policy that some folks find objectionable, then those motivated to respond tend to have strong views. And I think the general thing I'd like to share is despite the negative feedback, I will just share that what we did put out to the public was absolutely in keeping what the vast majority of public school districts in BC that have policies around naming have updated their policies to say. And we can see around the province, many of those schools that have changed names for various reasons. And I think the other point of clarity, and I read through the policy and felt it was clear, but just for anybody listening that did respond, this isn't to say that every school would have an Indigenous name. It was that if that was something that was brought forward, it would be given good consideration, given truth and reconciliation and honoring the ones that were on. But there was a few that were concerned that was this just a shift and were all schools being changed? And again, that this is only if there is a request from a member of the public to do so, that we would have a procedure.
Can you explain, when there is the proposal for a name change, is it initiated at the school level by the public, like with the anticipation that it would be coming from this office, or more than often not from this office? It's at the school level, at the community level. That's where the initiation of changes come from. It might be helpful if you elaborated on that, Chris, because it sounds like the concern, other than pronunciation, may be that there are going to be sweeping changes. And it sounds like what you're saying is that there are not anticipated sweeping changes.
Right, that is correct. And again, it's the Board of Education that retains the final authority as per the policy in terms of naming or renaming of schools. And in terms of who can put that forward, there would be a process for doing so. But again, public school districts allow for any member of the public that resides in that district to propose a change. And then there's the procedure that would follow. And that would be the next step, the next steps to share.
But we're not anticipating big changes at this time.
Not,
We just have a policy in
Not at all.
place for the time when such a proposal may come forward.
that's right. There has been some talk from folks around the renaming of Don Ross. That was one that's the only one that's come up, because it's generally been shared that folks don't really know who that is or why. And that was a former secretary treasurer in the district and trustee. That's it. So that's the feedback, and I appreciated that in terms of the actual clarity in writing, that it was very clear to folks, even those that opposed. So it wasn't around what was proposed. It was for some folks just the content. So I'll leave it to the board to discuss. Thank you.
Any comments?
Do you need anything from us, or you don't?
So this, but why on the table would be if someone would like to make a motion to accept as is, or to make any changes based on that feedback. But I recall it was shared with the board initially, and then we followed our public consultation. So the decision for the board is whether to make any changes based on feedback, or to adopt as is.
Go ahead, Celeste.
Do you need changes to the policy to include things like pronunciation guides?
I don't believe so, because I believe that's something, this is when we were chatting earlier, we'll chat about the admin procedures. Having those available to the public and to the board is something many districts do. So I think it would be helpful for folks to see how those things arise. And having them as part of an AP allows us to make those changes if pronunciation changes to language, etc., as opposed to having to bring it to the board for a review.
Go ahead.
Sorry. Would it be possible to if I'm not sure that I can see any reason to make changes to the policies as written, but it sounds as though maybe some communication to the public generally on the reasons for the policy, how, typically initiations or proposals around changes in name for a school do come about, and the district's commitment to including things like pronunciation guides, so that everybody can feel confident in pronouncing the name of a school. If that sort of thing might be appropriate to comment, like if Jen could assist with that in terms of just releasing information to the public so they can maybe better understand the purpose of the policy.
You mean at this point, or when a proposal actually comes forward?
No, at this point, like
At this-
if we're saying the policy remains unchanged, but here are the reasons why, and this is the purpose of the policy. To make it clear that the purpose of the policy is not for sweeping changes to be brought immediately, because it sounds as though that was the concern received.
Yeah, thank you. I apologize. I should have just read. So I should have just read number 8, renaming of schools and facilities, just for the public and for the board, which says renaming an existing school or district facility will only occur in exceptional circumstances.
Yeah, I remember.
Circumstances that may warrant renaming include, but aren't limited to, a demonstrated conflict with district values and or commitment to reconciliation, significant changes in community context or understanding, educational safety considerations, and any proposal to rename a school or facility must include a clear rationale for the proposed change, evidence of meaningful consultation, and consideration of financial operational impact and impacts on student, staff, and the communities we serve. So the process should just be adopted, will be an admin procedure, and yes, would be shared widely. So we would not want to publish this, thank you, until that was in place, and then we can do a campaign around it. Oops.
Yeah, just for better understanding, because it sounds like it was just maybe some of the negative feedback could have been based on a lack of understanding about what the policy is really meant for.
Yes, thank you.
Sounds good. Any other comments before we make a motion to accept this policy as written? Nothing, Lisa, all good? Okay, would somebody like to make a motion, please? Go ahead, Melissa.
Sure. I'll make a motion to move forward with this policy as written.
We good, Archie? You drafted the motion, okay. All right.
I will be
Okay, just hang on. Archie's drafted one so that Melissa's going to read that, what Archie's drafted. There it is.
That the policy committee recommends the Board of Education adopt policy 808, naming of school and district facilities as presented.
Thank you, Melissa, and Lisa, Lisa second, all in favor?
Yes.
Oh, sorry, go ahead, Rachel, I can't see you. Go ahead.
Oh, all good. Yes, I'm
You're in favor?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So motion's carried. Okay, moving on to B, policy 804, animals on school district property, and it's again you, Chris.
So this was a request just to give some feedback review at the end of the school year, and happy to report that it's going very well. Yes, there were some growing pains as folks did have to adjust to not having their dogs freely roaming the halls. But happy to report that's cleaned itself up considerably. From time to time, do I hear of folks bringing their dog after school? And then our janitors and custodians who work very, very hard do report that out, because it is not their role to clean up after said dog. So just really thankful for staff for their understanding. I do want to share, of course, that we have some many fantastic teachers in our district that bring animals in for curricular purposes. And a couple of weeks had the pleasure of being up at Signal Hill Elementary, and was in Layla Latimer's K1 class. And every year they do some beautiful work with raising of chicks to build that empathy and bring that into the life cycles and whatnot. And the most adorable little baby goat named Bolt, who was pure black with a fantastic little lightning bolt of white on their forehead. And I believe it was also at Don Ross that the miniature, Paul Lorette, help me out. Do you remember the name? It was a miniature type of goat as well. A fuzzball of joy that when you want to see grade 9 boys, any grade 9 boys listening, just completely melt into lovely human beings and children. That's
Good way to do it.
that's a good way to do it.
I'll have it for you in about a minute, but
And it was
Yeah.
the moment will be
Himalayan
gone by
or-
then.
a fuzzy goat.
Yes, it was a fuzzy, I believe it was a fuzzy goat, but
Some
Paul
sort
will-
of some
remind me.
Himalayan pygmy goat or something.
that's right.
Are we ready to talk?
Oh, I was just gonna mention one more, if folks recall, we all the beautiful lab in training in Birdie, but and that she passed, and her trainer was Flying Colors. Fully accredited dog at Statmas, and has again just been a wonderful addition to that community and supporting a number of students with some needs. Yeah, I'm really pleased and thanks to the board for the support and getting it right in terms of the level of need, but also some flexibility where necessary too. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay, go ahead, Melissa.
I was just gonna say that I wanted to say thank you for the way that this is written. There was a lot of growing pains for sure in Pemberton. There was a lot of upset people. And through this policy, they've been able to figure out how to work through and see what is appropriate. And I think it's worked really well. And also, I believe we have the wrong complement in the first sentence.
You have the what?
The wrong complement. It should be with an I.
I don't know that.
The Board of
on the policy?
Education, yeah, the Board of Education recognizes that animals can complement. It's the wrong complement.
So respectfully with the E,
Yeah.
The term as opposed giving a positive feedback, compliment, analog or is supplementary. So supplementary is an addition to, complement adds to. So I apologize for the term. It actually is correct, but I can change it if it's confusing for the public. There. Yeah.
Together.
Complement was very different than, because the complement we would use here would be that it complements like it brings positivity to. Whereas the other one, it's not that.
Right.
Yeah.
But
They both work?
it is, yeah. This is
You're talking about being a compliment of, like instead of
Not an
instead
I.
of saying and making a nice comment,
Oh,
you're
yeah.
making, that's word.
It's an addition to.
Yeah,
That's correct.
okay.
You're both right in the spelling, you're just wrong in the
Yeah.
in the interpretation.
Thank you.
Your spelling is bang.
I apologize to the board and the public. In a former life, I did teach advanced placement English, so sometimes it gets in my way.
Vigorous debate. I have a comment.
Go ahead.
I just want to say
This particular policy is a great example of advocacy.
community, Chris and, the rest of the senior leadership listening and adjusting and adapting. And I think it's just a good example of things working well. So thanks, Chris, for the work on it. And and just as I think an encouragement to people who are interested in engaging in advocacy. If you've watched the story of this policy, it shows that you can actually have an impact.
And all the hard work that Jill put into it as well.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
The community.
Right. Lisa, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to also mention thank you also for facilities putting up the signage. It's well noted, especially at GHE. I don't know if they're still having an abundance of problems, but more people seem to be leashing said animals, and there seems to be less poop on my walk. Anyway, so thank you to facilities for putting up all that signage at the schools.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I think maybe I'll actually add that into my remarks in the open. Just reminding people to please, especially this summer, please clean up after your dog. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, any other comments on policy 804? Rachel? Sorry, Rachel, I keep.
No, all good.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, moving on to policy 906, childcare. Chris, go ahead.
So this one was brought forward because of a recent legislative change and a ministerial order that stated certain things had to be in childcare policies. And so what we did was to update that policy. Specifically, we added that if there is appropriate available space in elementary schools, that we needed to report on this annually if there was any additions. So if changes were made to facilities or grants were in place, etc., while I know we wouldn't be communicating that, we're actually required to have that in policy. So that addition of annual space identification was added. Another part was in order that if we were changing use of the space for childcare to another use, we have to notify the minister in writing without delay. And I can share that did come up out of, I won't name the school districts, but some school districts that had existing space in their schools due to enrollment increases and lack of space, they had to cease offering that space for childcare and turn it into classroom spaces. And I guess there was concern that maybe that wasn't done as well as it could have been in terms of communication, especially with the ministry. So that's just a new policy for all districts, that if you're again converting a space that's currently being used, for example, I'm not going to name a school so anybody to think there's any problems, but let's say we have a school that has a portable where we're offering childcare. If there was enrollment pressures and we needed that portable for students, we would be notifying the minister, as well as obviously our school community as part of the new legislation. The third of fourth is that the order explicitly names Indigenous Education Council and First Nations as required engagement parties. So our existing policy already references Indigenous communities, but we had to ensure that we included the term Indigenous Education Councils and First Nations. So again, a important housekeeping clarification. And finally, we had to have an order in there submitting our childcare policy to the ministry on the date that they determined. So those were the 4 main changes that were made.
We missed that one. I think he's-
The contract. Oh, the contract.
Sound's gone, guys. There's no sound, guys.
Yeah, I can't hear anything either.
Yeah, I got nothing. I can hear you, Rachel.
Well, that's weird. Yeah, I can hear you. So,
Weird. Oh, they're working on it. Well then, hi, Rachel.
hi. How are you?
They can probably hear us.
Mhm.
Oh, April's laughing. Yes.
Yeah.
Can you hear us, Lisa?
Oh, we got you now.
Yeah, I could hear Celeste.
I could hear Celeste.
Hear you now, I think. Can you hear us?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Now we got you. Thank you.
Why are all the computers dying today?
Murphy's Law.
3, 4.
Hello, Lisa. Can you hear us?
Yeah, Rachel and I can hear you now. Thanks, guys.
Okay. Now we just can't see them on the screen.
She can do that.
Okay.
We can see you. We can see you.
Okay.
So I think it's just you can't. So for
Can you see us, Lisa?
Yes, we can see you.
Okay.
Or she's just working on some stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. So for continuance of the meeting, the public can see it.
Okay.
And
So
we can hear you.
where was I? I was asking Chris if
I think Lisa was.
4.6.
Lisa, oh yeah, Lisa needs to talk.
Or 6.4.6.
Sorry, I do have a couple of questions regarding this one. Section 4, Chris, under annual review. I recognize that you said that we already do some of it, but I'm wondering if there's going to be an increased cost to doing an assessed community need for childcare programs at or near each school. Like, how is that going to be a new administrative burden on staff to complete that? That is one concern. And then I think I answered it myself, but the removal of 6.4.6, I assume that the childcare providers are just going to have their own contract and there is no need for them to conform to all the things that's mostly are conforming and making sure we're doing right by the problem.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got it. It's already subsumed in 6.4. The rest of it's there. So it was redundant. And then the other part, so as part of the work, for the folks that have responsibility for childcare, so Phil Clark and Heather Andrusoff, that annual review, that's part of the reporting that we need to do. So, you know, the numbers of families, the requests through Sea to Sky Community Family Services. So that's actually all part of what we do already. We just didn't have it in. We just had to make sure that we mention it in policy. So yes, those reports are done by staff, all districts, and provided to the ministry on a regular basis, and it's how they report out on, right, the 1 in 10 or the great need, and yeah, just to assure the board and the public that this staff, this district is acutely aware of the need for childcare and is again actively recruiting again, you know, existing staff for those positions. But we have some updates a little bit later in the open about childcare. So I'm going to wait until then. I also do an overview in my year ahead.
Right.
So public, tune back in at 6 o'clock.
Thank you, Chris. That answers those. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Lisa.
Celeste, go ahead.
Yeah, I just have a couple comments on this one. And most of them are housekeeping related. So when we've done our policy review, I think we've been making a change to say Sea to Sky School District. So I'll email you this little list. I believe First Nations should be capitalized whenever it's used in the document, and I caught a couple of those. In 3.3, board is capitalized, but it's the only place. There's just one place in the document where board is capitalized. And so yeah, it just, well, it's just like you're doing the substance. So this is just someone reading it, you know, for all of the things. So I'll send you that piece. Like either that one should be taken out or there's other places where it should probably be capitalized.
Interestingly, I think we missed it in 2021 because only the blue is the addition. So all
That's
the
right.
black was before.
Was
so
from entirely before, yeah.
good eye.
And then so for 4, you know, my thoughts on this, and it looks like ministerial orders are not changed super frequently, so maybe this doesn't matter. But my question was, should we be so specific with respect to the naming of the specific order and what's written in it? Just because it will require policy updates every time those things change. So you could say something like, we will comply with all ministerial orders. But if there's value in actually having this stuff written in there and then we just update it when there's changes every 6 years or whatever it is, that's fine. And then in 5.2.3, it says in alignment with MOE, MCFD, and VCH. I think MOE is also, it needs to have the childcare piece added to it. And then maybe we should just spell out what those acronyms stand for, or we could even just say something like any other relevant partner organization, something that just covers all of the things. And then in 5.3, I think we should either remove the word direct or add the words and indirect, because it should be all costs, not just the direct costs. There may be indirect costs that should be accounted for there. So that is that. Other than that, it looks good.
Thank you, Lisa. I mean, thank you, Celeste. I think in when she was talking with the board, I think every time the board is a title, it needs to be a capital. I don't think you should lowercase that one. I think you should uppercase all the other ones.
There's one part where it says
Hmm.
board property though, and I think that one maybe,
Lower, but this
I
one
don't know,
here,
because it's a
yeah.
defined thing from the order, I believe.
Right, but this
Or
one
the
here,
legislation,
5.1, where it says other than the board.
That's
Anytime the board is a title, I think it needs to be
That's right, yeah.
capitalized.
Sorry, what were you saying about the cost piece? I missed that.
I'm gonna email it to you right now, Danielle, and then you will have.
So were you saying it should be only direct costs or?
No, I think it should
Direct
be
costs.
direct and indirect.
Direct
We
costs.
should either take out the word direct and just it be all costs,
Oh,
or say direct and indirect. Like there's another part in the policy that refers to direct and indirect.
mhm.
And I really do think that all costs need to be captured because there could be
There's
you know,
overhead, yeah.
significant indirect costs that we want to account for.
Make it simple, just take out the word direct, I think.
No. It says direct and indirect.
Okay.
That's what I see.
This
What's
is
the
in
second?
5.3.
It
So
doesn't,
so
it
we need to
currently
make it
just says
align.
direct.
It just says direct.
I think what, again, in 6.2,
Oh, yeah.
it
I
has,
see.
it has both
Oh, yeah, it
direct and
does, yeah.
indirect, so thank you. We'll
That's
make
right,
sure
yeah.
they are
Yeah.
parallel. Yeah. direct.
So let's do.
Okay. Any more comments before? Do we need to have a motion on this one?
Mhm. To
Yes.
approve as.
All right, April, may I have a
As with the
second?
Changes.
Lisa,
Yeah.
Lisa's talking.
May I have a second speak? Just
Yeah,
for,
go ahead.
when Celeste was talking about 5.2.3 and there was discussion about making it and or any other parties, I think we've got to be careful to keep it as provincial because I'd hate for another organization that's not a provincial one to come in and say, you need to align with ours if it's like a hierarchy, right? These three are provincial. So you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Okay.
Any other comments before we make the motion? Okay, do you have the motion ready? Archie? Oh. Okay, well, we can probably just, if Melissa, maybe just use that same stem.
That's
Yeah.
Policy committee recommend the Board of Education adopt policy 906.
Right.
Policy childcare
With housekeeping.
With,
with housekeeping changes as discussed.
thank you, Melissa. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you. Okay, thank you, Celeste. All in favor? Lisa, yes?
Oh, yeah.
And Rachel, yes?
Yes, yes.
And that's carried. Thank you. Do we have any action items?
So do you need me to do the motion for you?
Okay. I guess that takes us to Danielle. Questions of clarification from the public?
There are no questions.
Okay, so.
May I,
call this-
before you adjourn, April,
Yeah,
just for clarity's sake, I unfortunately have a phone call for the next meeting and some of my questions have already been forwarded to another trustee. So I'm hoping to join you as soon as possible for the next
okay,
meeting.
thank you, Lisa. Hopefully our technology is better by the time you come back. Okay, so if there's nothing else, I think we can call this meeting adjourned. We have our next meeting, our financial meeting in 7 minutes.
Thank you. Bye.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, just for the people in the room, Rachel, are you off now too?
We have to close the. public.
I'm still here. What do you need?
No, I was
No,
wondering if